If you're somebody that loves being generative, productive, ambitious, fun, and exciting in a healthy way, you're more than likely somebody that loves to be giving energy, and you're probably an empathic person, and you're very compassionate in nature. And this is going to be something that, whether you enjoy it or not, you're going to have the proclivity to have the desire to give more than you receive. And it's oftentimes people like this will make other people feel better around them almost always. There's a great quote by Charles Bukowski who said something along the lines of, "You'll know the free spirit because you'll always feel as if you are free around them." And it's because you're elevating people when they're around you. I enjoy being that spirit that lifts the presence of the people around me, and I enjoy being a positive influence as much as I can to the people around me. Otherwise, it wouldn't necessarily be indicative of me to want to pursue a righteous life and a righteous lifestyle, because it would be futile to do so otherwise. And it's not always easy to do good things consistently for the long term. Today, I was tested very, very, very much. There was a few instances where there were certain things that were made very clear to me that if I really wanted to, I could give into certain temptations. And these temptations were with women specifically. And it was almost as if the devil himself was trying to take over my body. It was a very profound moment because I could feel myself walking in the spirit and the truth. And it was almost as if this shadow of temptation tried to sweep me off of my feet. And I got very upset and angry today. I was just very... I had enough. I just had enough of these people. And people were trying to get in my way everywhere I went. I went to the store. I had to run errands. I was going to the gym. And it was just as if there were so many people that were trying to get in my way. And at one point I wanted to scream to these people, "Move or you will be moved." Because I was so frustrated with how unconscientious people were. It was as if there were little to no lights on. The lights were on, but nobody's home, kind of a thing, actually. And it was so preposterous to me to see this level of inconsistent and incongruent behavior with what is actually happening before everybody, because this was all a part of everybody's reality. And people were just so bizarre in their behaviors. And I started to think about, why am I getting so frustrated? I don't need to be. And I started to understand that sometimes even the people that have the best intentions are going to have moments where, even with all of your understanding, expertise, knowledge, wisdom, there are still going to be times where you're tested yourself. And for me, this was one of the times where I was being tested. And I would say this only happens where it gets to this point where the temptation is very, very great to forsake all righteousness and claim all power. It was as if the dark side of the force was just telling me, like, all you have to do is just give in a little bit. All you have to do is just give in a little bit. But I didn't give in and I didn't give up. And sometimes I even wonder why I don't give up. Because in those moments where the temptation is so great, it's almost as if you're giving so much energy to people and you bring the life to the party. You understand that you're not the only one going through life. You understand that this life is just as hard for you as it is anybody else. And these people don't get it. They just don't get it. They don't see much of anybody outside themselves. And I know this. I know that people at the end of the day, generally speaking, really don't care whether you live or die tomorrow or today. And that's just the reality. I mean, I'm not trying to be nihilistic or cynical or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is the reality of the situation. But this is why we have godly communities. This is why we have people that are actually like-minded, that walk in spirit and truth around us, because the world is just so cold. You know, in the Bible it says that the love of many will wax cold in those days. And I think, I mean, golly, it's seeming like it's getting closer and closer to those kinds of days, because people just are so spiritually dead. It's unbelievable to witness the catastrophes that people are going to be willfully sabotaging against their own life for the sake of short-term gains. They're going to sacrifice all of these long-term goals and relationships and commitments and responsibilities, all for the sake of a little bit of glory. You know, something I've been thinking about today is that a lot of people would rather be infamous than be invisible to people. And unfortunately, I think this is one of the reasons why our society is the way that it is because social media has completely, at a level hitherto undreamt of, that the state in which society hangs on a balance and on a thread is much more, how do I say this? It's much more indecent than we could have possibly imagined. It's much more challenging to be balanced than we ever thought. And the moment can always come when society and humanity ends. You know, there's a great quote in The Lord of the Rings where Aragorn says, you know, the day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day. And that is exactly the essence of masculine courage that is missing in our society. If we as men were able to come together and just we don't even have to come together. We just have to make a decision on our own that if we were going to do certain things and not reinforce certain behaviors in other people, the world would change overnight. It really would, because us men are the ones that are the leaders. There's a reason why in the Corinthians it goes, the Most High God, Jesus Christ, man, woman, child. In the Corinthians it talks a lot about this for a very specific reason. And it is no coincidence that it is this way. And the reason being is because men have to be the leaders. They were created to be the leaders. There was a reason why God made Adam first. And I'm speaking about this symbolically and technically, okay? For anybody that may not necessarily believe in the Bible, I understand that I'm speaking about this from a symbolic perspective. The Bible is a living document. It's not just a book. It's something that epitomizes the constructive reality insofar as we can comprehend on a dream level as well as a psychological and symbolic level. It is not only true in the narrative world, it is also true in the numinous world. And that's exactly what I think a lot of people miss about the Bible, and the proclivity that people have to disregard those that are not followers of Christ. The proclivity that people have to disregard the stories of which the Bible talks about. I can take stories from anywhere. I can take inspiration from nearly any story. But there's something that is specifically unique about the Bible in which it is intertwined in certain ways. And it is because of this that I think if we were to understand what the Bible was and is as a foundation of literature, philosophy, and architecture, our whole infrastructure is based off of this book. If we were to truly understand that in the West anyway, in the Western societies, then I think we would be able to understand the deeper level of this. Because when you understand this and you do have this free spirit about you, you're going to naturally give energy to other people. You're going to be like an overflowing fountain of energy. And people, of course, are going to feel better around you. Of course, they're going to feel good because you understand the way the world works. You understand the way life works. And it may be a mystery to other people, but for some reason, they can't get enough of you. They just feel so good. And for some reason also, I've noticed that a lot of good, decent men that are actually God-fearing men seem to attract a multitude of different kinds of women. And when I say that, I mean also like the Jezebels and the narcissists, etc. And because they idealize versions of love in their mind, they're not able to fully comprehend the levels of discourse that are happening at the meta level of the relationship. Because as soon as the man is idealizing the relationship more than the actual relationship more than he values the actual relationship that he has with the woman in which he is the leader, that's where things go awry. And so that's where the man loses his spine, he loses his backbone, he loses his whole ability to lead in the relationship. And guess what happens? Every single time, without fail, every single time, this has been a pattern I've seen over and over and over and over again. What happens when the woman starts to lead? The relationship falls to crap. Goes to the gates of hell every single time, without fail. Without fail. And any woman that maybe has a spiritual leader, like maybe she has a family in which she's trying to help people grow close to God, she might be, you could say, the thing that ignites the spark. She gives birth to the life. Like you could think about it in regard to Shakti and Shiva in the Eastern religions and philosophies. Shakti is the female essence that gives birth, right? And then Shiva is the consciousness which molds the energy. So the Shakti is just pure energy. It's pure feminine creative energy. But the Shiva, and again, I'm speaking about this symbolically and technically. I'm not saying that this is the way that I believe that it is. I'm giving just some context here. And Shiva, the masculine principle, is the one that shapes the energy. And that's exactly what a man is supposed to be doing in the relationship. He's supposed to lead by shaping the space and giving the space. So a man's frame provides the mountain in which a woman can crash her emotions into and still feel Like she can maneuver and be whoever she wants to be within this space that you create. So that's something that as godly men we have to watch out for, because there's going to be a lot of women that are attracted to that kind of thing, because you are a free spirit. You do have that free spirit energy, and they do feel great around you. Well, why wouldn't they? And some people will feel intimidated. Don't get me wrong. Some people will feel intimidated by you, but a lot of the times people will see you as this beautifully horrifying figure because you carry God's presence. And when you carry God's presence, you are beautifully horrifying, because you know yourself that God is beautifully horrifying. It's so beautiful that it's blinding with terror in some sense. And that's what the fear of God really is. The fear of God is understanding the power of God, but also his mercy. But insofar as you are doing and being obedient to that which he wants for his will to be done, and you're willing to be a vessel for that. So this is why people will be energized around you. And I've noticed sometimes I'll feel like drained afterward. I'll feel as if I'm drained after being around certain people. And growing up, this happened a lot, where I would be giving so much energy to other people that when I finally got the energy like to myself, when I was finally by myself, I noticed that I was completely much more depleted, and these people were way more energized. And I thought to myself, why is this? Why does being around these kinds of people drain me? I don't know why that is. This is when I was much younger. And now I completely understand. It's because they're narcissists. They're energy vampires. It's what they do. They need your source. Like, they need your energy. How do I say this? They need your energy to thrive, because they don't have a personal relationship to the Most High. And if somebody doesn't have a personal relationship to the Most High, they're likely not getting the full source, the full power from the source of creation, which is the Most High himself. So this is something to ponder and think about as you go about your business in the day-to-day. Be mindful of who you're sharing energy with, and keep in mind also that if you are an overflowing fountain, it's okay to be that. But be mindful of people that are just like a black hole, because there are vortexes of darkness out there that you do not want to be paying attention to or investing energy into. Because I like to think about things as more of an investment than a spending. I want to be investing. I don't want to be spending. And I wish I thought of this mindset sooner, and I knew this mindset sooner, but alas, here we are. But with all that being said, if you do want to join a godly community where we are shaping and reforming and transforming our minds, bodies, and souls each and every day, join the Regal Change Academy. There's a link in the description box below for the free Discord community as well as the paid community. And in the free Discord, you're going to have the godly community as well as a few different kinds of resources for meditation, healing, or fitness. And then also in the paid community, right now we're doing a Art of War class series. We also have the virtual meditation retreat coming up in about a month, which I'm super excited for with that. I'll be announcing that formally later on in the week. And we also have a bunch of other classes and resources if you're trying to start your own business, trying to get physically fit, want to learn more about fasting or meditation. That's going to be the place to go. We also have 2 weekly Bible study calls as well as a weekly congregation. So if you're interested in that, check that out as well, because the paid community has been really growing in a very tremendous way recently, where everybody's growing so fast and they're all recognizing that together we're able to grow further, right? So we can go further to like on our own sometimes, but we can go farther together, if that makes sense. I think I think the main idea to understand is that you can get more perspectives and more understanding collectively with like-minded people than you ever would alone. Yeah, you might get further into whatever pioneering place you want to go to alone, but how long can you really last? You know, it was about 2 years ago when I realized that I need a godly community. And I tried to go to church. Well, I guess it was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, almost to the day, where I realized I need a godly community. And I tried to go to churches and such, and that wasn't the place. And so I decided to create the Regal Change Academy last year, because I knew that there was still a need for reforming education. That's a big reason why the Regal Change Academy is now starting, and now it's starting to pick up because, I mean, there's a God-shaped hole, and now we have the solution. And it's not necessarily just about the community is not just about the just God and the Bible. It's about all these different topics and how they all come back to God. That's what it's all about. So I appreciate everybody also moving from the YouTube platform over to the X, Rumble, and Instagram platforms. I appreciate your guys' extra support. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.